Welcome, Spartans, to Mission Debrief. We're playing every mission in the mainline Halo video game series in chronological order, discussing our experiences and sprinkling in a little lore along the way. If you'd like to play along and have your thoughts read on the show, email us at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. We'll be playing the Before the Storm and Battle of Sunayan missions from Halo 5 on the next episode. If you like what you hear and want to support the show, visit Podcast Evolved on Patreon. This episode, we're debriefing the Alliance and Enemy Lines missions from Halo 5. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, alongside David Arnold.
Hello, everybody.
And Krista Brown.
Aren't the grunts adorable?
Just want to squeeze them.
I know, right? Adopt a grunt now, people. Come on. Lots of homeless grunts.
It's true. Last mission was Swords of Sanghelios. Sanghelios was next on Infinity's itinerary as Fireteam Osiris continued hunting down Blue Team. But in order to even think about accessing the Guardian located on Sunayan, the team needed to track down the Arbiter and ask for permission. Thel was a bit busy battling the remnants of the Covenant, so Osiris had to fight their way through the carnage in order to gain a seat at the negotiating table. This mission, Jameson Locke and Thel Vadam barely get a chance to say hello before Cortana interrupts their meet and greet. Her knowledge of the Guardian at Sunayan means the human-Sangheli partnership will need to move faster than originally planned. Fireteam Osiris must first secure a Forerunner Constructor in order to communicate with the ancient metal beast before moving on its location below the sacred Sangheli city. Date of the game is October 27th, 2558. David.
Hello. I is good. How are you?
How does this opening cutscene tickle your fancy here?
It's okay. It kind of gets the ball rolling pretty quickly, which is kind of good because you get the sense that without Cortana's interruption, Thel didn't really have any sense of urgency. He didn't seem to really care about the Guardians, but he was, I guess, pretty gracious in that, in how quickly he accepted them and gave them a mission.
He didn't really, there wasn't a sense that's interesting. He's like, we're gonna go to Sunayan when we're ready.
Exactly.
And we know that we can win the battle, even though Cortana just showed up. Like, he says that after the fact.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that they kind of they have their banter back and forth. I know who you are. Locke is kind of in his arrogance. I'm a Spartan now. It's interesting banter back and forth.
I tried to kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if he tried, as opposed to just suggested that we should.
Yeah, that's true. But, I mean...
I found it interesting that the Arbiter knows that.
What's that?
I found it interesting that the Arbiter knows that kind of information.
Yeah, I wonder how that would have gotten to him. That's a good point. I mean, I like their little dojo setting, their little tent.
I think it's a very short cutscene. It pretty much just sets it up as Locke and Arbiter have brief interactions in terms of what they want, and Cortana, as you said, pops up. Can't pretty much interacts with anything. Halsey runs in and says she knows everything we know. We gotta move now. Palmer says something that it's not important, and then the Arbiter says we'll go when we're ready, when we're sure the battle will be a success or whatever, that we'll crush the Covenant. And then Locke goes, we move within the hour. How does he know that? How does he?
Yeah,
I guess.
Well, they leave out the point that they're gonna, because they're moving on the Constructor. They don't really talk about that in this cutscene.
Yeah,
that's what you find out in Alliance, but that's why he's confident. The dialogue back and forth between the two, they leave out that whole fact that, hey, there's a step that we need to take before we go after the Guardian. Yeah.
So anyway, the cutscene pretty much ends, and this new hub world opens, which I actually really like this one.
Yeah. So why do you like this one versus the other one?
There is it's visually more impressive. I like the weight that they gave Sanghelios. I like the runes. I like the skywalks here is beautiful. Mm-hmm. I don't think they did the right thing for Meridian. I don't think Meridian should have had a totally different feel to it. I think it should have been, because it's the way it should be darker in terms of like its tone, because when you realize what you're walking on and like what happened, it's kind of more significant. I mean, Hunted Truth really goes into like very interesting details in terms of like what the glass is and how it works and stuff. I thought that was kind of cool. And this one, there's also like great little lore tidbits. There's just fun conversations. It's got like you can blast through it in 2 seconds and have like 2 quick conversations and get into the next mission. But I like walking around this camp. I like seeing a Sangheili camp. I think that's cool. And there's some very good interactions.
There are good interactions. Yes, sorry to cut you off. That's a little bit of my issue though with this, because it is a cool hub world, and taking my time and wandering around it more so now for the show than I have in the past, is I almost wish they would have, I don't know, you can go around and get the intel and you have conversations, and if you're a lore fan, this is an interesting place to explore and listen to the interactions between the Sangheili and the grunts, and you can go talk to people and listen to them interact with certain things, see these things up close that you can't normally do because you're fighting them, and things happen so fast when you're playing Halo. But they didn't really gamify the interactions at all. A little bit, I feel like they could have done that a little bit more. Like maybe you would have picked up like some tool that you would have needed in order to access the Forerunner area later on in the next mission, and you would have had to like climb way up high or like talk to a couple people to say, oh, it's over here, no, it's over there, that guy's got it, and kind of force some of those conversations. Maybe that would have been annoying for some people, but it would have perhaps, I don't know, been a hook for some people that are just playing it for the raw, Halo gameplay and action. It would have been a way to say, hey, here's some little tidbits, and you kind of have to do this because we've built that into it, but maybe this would be interesting enough for you to help you understand the story a bit more.
I mean,
maybe some dialogue trees would have been interesting.
Yeah,
definitely.
Like maybe a couple characters you can kind of ask, what they think of the conflict, what they think of the Guardians, what they think of Jewel Mandama's death. There's so many different events for you to kind of get a better grasp of what the Sangheili are thinking about everything.
Yep.
Like, what do you think about Arbiter as a leader or something like that? Like, to actually like get in and like have a conversation with one of the Sangheili there in the camp, or one of the grunts in the camp, or something like that. Just some extra added interaction other than you just kind of like going up to them and then saying a couple like sentences and then nothing.
Well, and you have that with the grunt that's hanging out with the Sangheili. He's just talking his ear off.
Yeah.
His name's Dimki Hote, but you don't interact with him. You have to stand there and just wait until he exhausts all his dialogue to soak it all in. There's no like hitting the button and asking him questions.
You don't get a back and forth between anyone, which kind of makes it feel a little one-sided. In a weird way. It's not like, it makes you think that you're in a game. Like, there's nothing really going on. You can't do anything. You just kind of overhear all these conversations. Like, even on the Meridian one, like, Locke would say something to them. Like, they'd be like, oh, I saw a ship, those UNSC bastards. And then Locke's like, where'd you see that ship? And they're like, get away from me, you scum. And then you go on with your day. But at least they acknowledge your presence.
There is one
that time they gave you the objective, which was gather information from these people. So it made sense to do that. But I think maybe this time around they didn't have an objective for Osiris to do, other than talk to Halsey. But maybe they could have done something better of, you needed to gather information around this camp, or you wanted to help them prepare for the fight in order to make it quicker turnaround, I don't know.
Well, and you go a little, kind of spoilers, but we come back to the same camp right after these missions. So maybe like you talk to people, and during the next mission, it unlocks like you find a cache of weapons for someone, or pick up extra grenades or something like that. Like, we need you to open this corridor so we can flank the enemy, something like that. Just like some extra objectives that you can kind of get for the next mission, and then like it changes how everyone thinks about you next time you go to camp.
Yep. It's a little optional thing that you can do it one way or the other. Adds a little replayability. I like that idea. There is one interaction where there's some elites there fixing a Banshee, and you can talk to them with the different members of your Fireteam Osiris, and they'll all have a different interaction with them. So if you're Buck and you talk to them, they say one thing to them. If you're Locke,
I did think that was great.
Person, what's that?
I thought these were great. I didn't know there were so many different ones. But the ones that are there are pretty great. We'll probably talk about them later or here. I don't really mind talking about here.
Yeah, no, I figure we talk about it here, and it's interesting that everybody doesn't have the right answer. The only person that has the right answer is Tanaka. So all three of them are like the elite just brushes them away, like go away. But Tanaka actually offers some advice on how to fix the Banshee, and they're like, oh, okay, well maybe Spartans are actually useful, which is kind of cool. Any other thoughts? I guess positive stuff, Krista, of this area?
It's just really cool to see kind of the background of a fight. Like in Halo, we never get to be like at the camp and preparing for anything, so it's kind of nice to kind of see that part, like the calm before the storm kind of thing, about to move out, getting ready.
It would have been fun to actually like go pick your weapons.
That would be like that would have been awesome. Like
that's what I mean. Like actually prepare for the fight would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish there was just something a little more interactive in this.
Yep. Yeah, there's just this. I mean, you go talk to Halsey. I don't even know if you have to finish the dialogue. Yeah, you go talk to Palmer and you leave. But you can. There's lots to explore. There's intel to find, which Krista will go over. We'll go over that before we go into the next mission, like we did last time.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's a cool area. It's it's an attempt at doing like this lore section of the game for those people interested. If you're not, you can just more or less skip the whole thing, which is maybe why they did it. But it also feels like a weird thing that you have to do. I guess you can go in and select the mission after this if you really want to. But if you're playing through the mission, it's like, oh, okay, well, I remember this. I'm just gonna skip all this stuff so I can go shoot some things on Legendary or whatever. If it's your Legendary playthrough. Okay, so I do want to talk about a couple more things. Arby's fancy armor.
It's very nice.
He's very fancy and very gold, and he only has one arm of armor. What do you think about this, David? Did he dress himself up, I guess, because it's now he's super important? Where the Arbiter armor is gone now? Is this the same Arbiter armor, or is he tucked that away in his closet?
Different.
No, it's not. I imagine it's probably traditional and ceremonial, based on what he's trying to do here. Like he's deliberately going to places of historic significance in Sanghelios, and he's trying to bring Sangheli back to their roots where they were self-sufficient and let's say had more just a different way of life. So I imagine that's where it's coming from, that it's a deliberate choice, and the Arbiter wasn't a mark of shame until the Covenant made it so I guess he's kind of going back to that kind of way. No, he does have Prophet's Bane on his side.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool.
Oh,
nice.
Right.
Yeah, I noticed that today.
Super fancy.
Prophet's Bane is the Ultra Energy Sword.
It's the orange one.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Any other thoughts on the armor, Krista?
I like it. It's pretty.
Yeah, but this one actually is gold. I think there's always a little bit of debate on the Halo, the Bungie era Arbiter, like what color is his armor actually? Because in Halo, is it Halo 3 where it kind of oscillates back between silver or a little bit gold, depending on how the light strikes it.
I think it was a lighting engine issue.
Yeah, but now it's truly gold. This is Gold Arbiter. This is
because in Halo 2, it's very clearly silver, which mean, and he's wearing the same armor. He didn't change between Halo 2 and 3, so no. it is silver. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, look, the
just sometimes the lighting make it look.
In the blur cutscenes, he's all silver.
Yeah, very silver. So, it's just something with the lighting or something like that in the game engine that's making it look like that.
Yeah. And you can go talk to him, or you can go at least listen to the conversations that he's having with his entourage. So go check him out a little bit. Maybe give him. Well, I don't think you can give anybody shoulders in this. You can't do anything. Your weapon is always down in this. You can jump around and do clamber around to get the intel, which Chris will go over in a little bit. I do want to just talk about Dim Quixote again because he's the funny Ungoy that just talks and talks and talks. I think they did a good job with him, and at least everything that he says is kind of interesting, and there's some tie into the larger Halo lore. He talks about lots of different things. One thing he mentions, he talks about the Feru, the dogs that ate the flood dust.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
There's a point where he talks about that. He comments on how long the Covenant ship names are. Did you guys read that one? He talks about how he's kind of joking around, but he's saying like, if you're the commander and saying, the ship name, like, I'm forgetting all of them right now, but they're so long that by the time you command orders, they'll be blown up.
Yeah.
They're so long.
Like Truth and Reconciliation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He goes, Truth and Reconciliation. Oh, it's dead. Never mind.
He had some great ones about pelicans crashing all the time. I thought that was great.
Yep. Talks about pelican crashing, and he says, wow, they treat their own ships so bad. Just think how much they're going to wreck ours.
It's true, though.
He says, you got to quit talking and saying, Healy, you okay? He's talking to his buddy that's just listening to him. He says, you got to talk human. I don't understand saying Healy. All I hear is wort, 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 wort. He also talks about how the Sangheili don't have tongues, which is a weird thing. Maybe you think, how does that work? He mentions the Didact and how he claimed that he couldn't be composed, which is interesting as well. And then there's one more. Let's see here. I thought was interesting. He talks about his friend Pelerp. He says, I was afraid that they would find out that I shooted Pelerp, but I blamed it on the green demon guy. Actually, I blame a lot of things on him. You ever do that? That guy was the best. You could shoot him, and he never fell over. Not like Pelerp.
He's a fun Easter egg. I love all the grunt Easter eggs. They're all so good.
Yeah. So yeah, explore this area. If you're into the lore, you're probably, that's why you're listening to this podcast. But explore it and soak it in. And yeah, just enjoy what they built here. But if you don't want to, if you've done it before, just go ahead and move on to the next mission. Chris, why don't you go through the intel quick, and then we'll go on to the next mission.
Okay. All this intel is really, really long, so I'm going to try to get through it as fast as I can. Because there's 8 of them, and they're all like a paragraph. So.
Okay.
All right. So the first one is Camp Quartermaster Personal Log. We camp below the Titan of Old, the stone warrior meant to guard Sunayan against us, I suppose. Or we are retaking Sunayan from the occupying Covenant with the Titans at our back. And when the Great Guardian awakens, it will save us or forsake us. My head swims for I long for problems that can be solved with a plasma grenade.
So it's interesting that they know the Guardian is there. Like, they've found the Guardian. They've seen the Guardian. So they more or less know what it looks like. That's why this holy site was built on top of it, this Sunayan.
Yeah, I believe it's been alluded to a couple of times that there's a great artifact under Sunayan, but it was 1, too big to excavate, and 2, there's no on and off switch.
Right.
Which is probably good for them in the long run.
Yeah, good point.
All right, the next one is Sangheili Medic's personal log. To spill blood outside of the battle is a great dishonor. Words burned into all Sangheili since they were young, and to me. For a time, I believed. I watched my brothers die around me and never dared give aid. Stitching a wound closed brings dishonor. Setting a broken bone brings dishonor. Words of the ignorant who never saw an undetonated needle around pulsing beneath a brother's skin. If shame is the price of compassion, so be it. So that is kind of very interesting change of mind from
that's cool. I like
traditional Sangheili values.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you gotta reckon that like their mentality around this is kind of stupid, and it's good to see them evolving.
So stupid. Yeah. Well, now they kind of have to, because they're not just a warrior race anymore. It's dishonorable for a warrior, but for anyone else getting hurt, you need to have doctors.
And I imagine they're having severe losses with all this infighting.
Yeah, and they can't afford to lose people all willy-nilly like they could in the Covenant. I mean, the Covenant, they had their entire race to work off of. It was fine. If you want to die an honorable death, you totally can. But now, numbers are slim. After the war, they're going to need every able-bodied person possible so that they can rebuild their society. It's like, it doesn't make sense for everyone to just die when they want to.
Well, and there's factions to deal with, too. Like, yeah, there's just not as many people that are on the same page. They're trying to get people to be, part of the Swords of Sang Helios, kind of thinking that same mindset. Whereas, the Covenant had indoctrinated everybody. Like, you had to be all thinking about that same approach.
Yeah. All right. The next one is a Sangheli linguist report. Anthropological linguist's log. Kolat Kibrim speaking. Our history is lost in the haze of lies and myth. As the Covenant ends, I wish to relearn what we've lost, but the eroded and half-ruined glyphs in this place is maddening. Fragments of words dance before me, here prophecy and there reunite or restore, then a warning about some responsibility and great drowning. I could study here for years. So, kind of Sangheli going back to their roots, finding what they lost. The next one is Sangheli Personal Log 673. We set camp within sight of Sunayon, audacious but brilliant. We, Swords of Sang Helios, are united under no less a warrior than the Arbiter himself, he who exposed the countless lies of the San Shaihum and drove back the Covenant. The Arbiter shapes our future with deference to our past. Let us not forget those who have journeyed into the howling dark and did not return, he once said. Have you ever heard such wisdom? And that is from the speech at the end of Halo 3. I quote. Alright, the next one is Sangheli Personal Log 383. When I joined the Swords of Sang Helios, I remained loyal to Jewel Mandama. Today I had my chance to kill the heretic, the false arbiter. He was readying his armor. My hand fell to my weapon, and then I saw the mark branded on his chest. He bears the mark, yet at that moment, I felt shame. His eyes caught mine, and I looked away. It is strange. Perhaps there is more to him than I thought. So, if you remember, he got branded. He got a big owie brand that he killed too.
Yeah, that's a good callback. I like that.
Next one is Honor Guard Personal Log 1 out of 2. I stationed so close to the Arbiter and gods. I have never felt so nervous. I set about polishing my armor straight away, but then I thought the Arbiter might frown on such vanity in battle. Should I fly my Banshee to the front and show my skill, or would he see that as recklessness? I am petrified. I would rescue myself from battle. But that would definitely disappoint him, would it not? So that is, that's a Sangheli showing some kind of nervousness. Arbiter's kind of a celebrity.
He is. He's got a presence.
Yeah. Next one is Dr. Halsey's status. Catherine Halsey's status update. I'm playing along with your protocol here, Thiel. If the Fours bring me an active constructor, I can interface with the Guardian. It will receive Cortana's signal the moment it activates and initiates slip space, but I think I can make sure that it leaves the sea before it jumps. I'll get it into the skies over Sunayon like you asked in return. Send me some assistance with the brains in their heads and loosen this damn security. I'm not going anywhere. So that's kind of the plan of what she kind of explains to us during this mission. The next one is my favorite and the last one. It's called Do Not Open.
Oh, it's the best, this one.
Erase previous recordings. Begin new recording. I saw you standing at your ship with armored hand upon your hip. Both my hearts began to pound, so lovely was what I found. I love your brightly shining armor, human named Commander Palmer. I wish that What are you doing here, Grunt? What are you laughing at? I will tear off your arms. Seems like Palmer has a little bit of a fan club here, huh?
This was so random when I found this the first time.
I
didn't know what I was listening to.
So good. Yeah. He's got a crush. Don't be mean to him. I support this crush. The ship has sailed. I'm ready to ship this to the gods.
I love it.
Palmer X Elites.
Oh man, because Palmer's awesome. That's why he loves her.
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah, she's a very striking lady.
She is.
All right, I'm done now.
Speaking of our lady, now we need to go talk to her and load up in their Pelican. Move on to the next mission, the next real mission. The plan is, as Halsey mentioned earlier when you chatted with her, that we need to go get that constructor drone, and we saw those in Meridian. It was the unconfirmed mission where they're kind of floating around down below, and you could shoot them, but don't shoot them. They're very nice and cute, very lovely little drones. But we need to go capture one of those. She mentions that there's a bunch of different areas that we can find them, but they've selected one in particular, and so that's where we're going. So Palmer drops you off. There's not really much of a cutscene here. We just you get dropped off with the Pelican, and we start climbing around these. What do you call this area? When I was writing my notes, is this like a mountainous
temple,
caverny area?
Kind of going through
what is this?
Gorge. Well, I just want to say on the previous mission, there's one bit of trivia that we didn't really cover. That I kind of liked. There's a checkpoint called the Whisper in the Storm. It's the same name as the first checkpoint in Halo 2, where you played as the Arbiter, which I thought was cool.
Okay.
It's a callback to the very first time, so I thought it was cool.
There's a checkpoint in there, but I guess, yeah.
Just for that, I'd say. I think where you're actually playing is kind of like in like a ravine, like a gorge, with all cliff faces and.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, I think if you're listening in the U.S., like I'm thinking like Arizona type stuff, like with the mountains and like the wind blown rocks, and there's caves and caverns and all this sort of cool stuff. So it's a really cool setting. You don't really do anything right away besides just sprint into the nearest cave, and you can hear the. So they mentioned that there's a Kraken that you have to deal with, and so we will see that here soon. But you can also hear the Swords of Sangheli. They're actually distracting or attacking the Kraken along the way, so you can kind of hear their pilots and their flight teams talking about how they're gonna form up and attack that and help you proceed on foot to the goal. It's very cool to kind of hear that battle dialogue and hear the Sangheli. You're all on the same net now, which is pretty cool. Head through the caves, and I guess one of the things that is a bit confusing is you're going to a temple, but this whole area kind of feels like a temple, right? Like you're always you're going through certain caves and caverns and whatnot, but there's like some sort of formation or a pillar or something like that. So it all looks kind of similar along the way. So it makes it feel like this is maybe this one big, large, maybe holy site that's been destroyed. This ruins area that's been destroyed over the time. We'll get to something that's a little bit more apparent down the road, and you actually have an interaction. But I do like it. But that's just kind of a little gripe is like they talk about going to the temple. It's like this all kind of feels like a temple to me.
Yeah.
But you do so. You kind of come out of this first area, and then you see the giant Kraken again.
What?
Yes.
It's awesome.
Kraken sighting number 2. We first saw the Kraken in what was that? That was the first. Was that the first mission?
First mission, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So we have the Kraken to deal with, and we have some fun times coming up here. But in the meantime, we have to battle through the Covenant that's resisting your approach, because as we're trying to get to the Covenant site to get this constructor, there's not a whole lot interesting here. I always blaze through this mission. I don't know, David, are you taking your time here? Are you kind of enjoying this, or are you feeling the urgency of the game and saying, okay, I got to get to the next spot?
I kind of push through a good bit. There is one interaction that's not the Kraken that I really liked, and that's you kind of come into I think it's one of the first areas, and the gorge kind of opens up, and there's an area in the middle, and there's places left and right and tunnels that you can kind of go through, and it kind of opens out, and there's loads of enemies kind of all around, and turrets and stuff like that. I really had good fun fighting through the rocks here, and taking on different pockets of enemies at different points. It's pretty cool because there's an energy shield in your way, and you can there's like different ways kind of around it and stuff like that. So I always kind of go underneath it and stuff like that. Was cool.
Yeah, that's a good area.
I really
that's
enjoyed that.
A little more towards the end, but that's and I feel like because I blazed through that, I don't spend a ton of time on that area. I'm just kind of like I'm using my Artemis scan, trying to figure out where I need to go, and I'm just trying to find the quickest route to that for this whole area. Krista, how about you?
Generally, I'm trying to get to the Kraken fight as soon as possible because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
On higher difficulties, I definitely take my time and try to take out all the enemies. In this case, like when I just played through it like an hour ago, I was definitely going a bit faster. So I mean, I kill enemies in my path, but generally, I'm like, I can leave a couple here and there. Yeah,
because you can hop on a ghost eventually pretty soon. So there's that one of those shields that David mentioned. And those you don't have to go around. You can go around this little console that you can destroy, but you can also just shoot it or punch it or whatever, and it will eventually go down. So you have to kind of get through that area here right away, and then hop in a ghost. And the ghost doesn't take you too far, but I do remember this area on Legendary being pretty tough, taking that ghost and trying to like cruise by, and that not working very well. So I had to take my time.
Blows the crap out of you here.
Yeah, that's right. You get a lot of fire off the side from that. But yeah, so hop in the ghost for a little bit, then hop out, and then you're kind of climbing through. And this is maybe what I was mentioning earlier, like this whole area, because you're climbing through here, it feels like a temple-y type area. So like I don't know exactly what this is, but it's a ruin is what you're going through. Yeah. So you kind of climb around there, get lost in that area, because you do have to climb up a little bit and kind of go around. It gets a little bit dark in this area. But then when you pop out on the other end, this is kind of that area that David was talking about, where there seems like there's lots of different routes, and there's this, ruins that have fallen on the side, and the terrain is very uneven here in general, which just makes for interesting, just an interesting battle area, I think. Anything else to comment on kind of this big room area? There's a bunch of like statues on the side too, which is a nice touch. And the objective really is to just get to the next shielded area. But Krista, any other thoughts on this big open area?
No, I mean, there's a bunch of different ways to tackle it, which we've talked about and I like. And you can kind of bypass the entire battle as well by just going underneath.
Yeah.
Like the Wraith drops. You don't even have to touch the Wraith when it drops.
I don't think I even knew a Wraith dropped. Blaze through this. There's some ghosts on the side that you can go grab.
Oh, I feel like I go grab.
Yeah, I feel like I go grab those.
I go up to the left where the snipers are. And then I drop down, and when you drop down in the middle, there's like a thing you can Spartan charge, and then down the shield, and then you just walk right through.
Yeah, there's an area on the bottom that you can kind of get underneath the shield, which is slick.
Yeah, it's just you can bypass the entire battle by doing that, and I just did that. I'm like, oh, this is convenient.
Yeah, which is, I guess, probably they're wanting you to do that a little bit, but they've built this shield to stop you from doing that. I almost feel like maybe there could have been another barrier or another reason that you would need to stop and, I don't know, clear out the area a little bit more. But
I mean, people who want to clear out the area are going to clear out the area.
Yeah.
People who are kind of immersed in the story and want to get to the end are just going to run it anyway. You might as well give them two distinct options to do either or.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason. Halo usually lets you do that. A lot of Halo you can skip if you're not interested, or just run past. And I do appreciate that, because sometimes when I'm into the story and I'm trying to feel that urgency, I can really go after it. Whereas if they're forcing you to take your time when the story doesn't align with that, and you're more like, oh, well, I gotta clear out all these guys and really like take my time. I know on Legendary runs that's usually the case, but yeah. So anyway, once you get all the way up to that shield, you kind of go on the other side. Your buddies will follow you, or you can break it down, whatever you want to do. But now we're actually in that temple area that we were talking about, and there's when you do your Artemis scan, you find there's like a little idol that you...
It's like an Indiana Jones kind of thing.
It is. It's a little bit of a goofy moment
because... It's a bit weird, yeah. I don't know why they bothered doing it.
Right. And they all talk about like, oh, there's the thing. It's way up there. How am I going to get up there? Like, well, I guess I'm gonna use my Spartan abilities.
How would Sangheili get up there without like ruining their own ruins? Like it doesn't make. There's no practical sense to it. Like an ancient society having this like device. Like who stays up there their entire lives to like turn the idol?
Yeah, right.
With ladders, Krista. Grav lifts. Come on.
I'm pretty sure Sangheili did not have grav lifts before the Covenant.
Krista does canon. How dare
Also, Sangheili don't like ladders because their knees are weird.
Grav lifts, Krista.
They just jump.
They just jump. That too.
Yeah, they got hops. They got mad hops.
They can jump like 50 feet in the air.
Like the Hulk. You just jump into the clouds.
I think we'd all be dead if they could do that.
The little idol is kind of cool to look at. I mean, it's Sangheili with his energy sword. And the weird thing, though, is that you scan it. You go up there and just scan it with your Artemis scan versus actually interacting with it.
Instead of touching it,
yeah. And then all of a sudden it moves. And starts to spin around in a circle, and then the door beyond will open up. So, and those crazy, like, stone doors that somehow have, hinges or like exist, yeah, exactly, somehow work. A few of our friendly soldiers will pop out on the other end, and you can chase after them, but they don't really cause too many problems. Now is a Kraken fight.
Yay!
Do you like it, Krista? You like the Kraken fight?
Yeah, I mean, I get to be on a Phaeton and shoot things. Yeah. That's pretty nice.
We'd forgotten about that.
That's cool.
We have the Phaeton again because we last saw them with Blue Team. We gotta ride some Phaetons, but here's another Phaeton moment.
Your teammates are bullshitting this though. They can't do shit. They just automatically die, and then of course I die in 2 hits because they want us to use the revive mechanic, and then my teammates are still in like ships, and I'm on the Kraken, and they're like, I don't know how to get out of my ship. I guess you're gonna die. That made me very angry. I was very upset. I'm like, why are my teammates so dumb?
If those Phaetons get taken out when you're still on that other area, like before you can actually on the Phaeton world, new ones spawn for you?
I would assume so.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, because they do just spawn. They just show up. They don't really like.
Very conveniently.
Yeah.
I saw when my one died as my body was falling, a new one spawned in on that platform as I fell past it to my death.
Probably for multiplayer, that's probably where you spawn in and then you have to get in.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. This is a tough fight on Legendary because it's just hard to get to the Kraken.
It's super tough. What you have to do is there's like 50 fuel rod turrets on there, and they're really annoying and really upsetting, but they have a very short range. So you just literally sit right outside their range and just pelt them from a distance.
Mm-hmm. It just takes a long time. You got to be patient.
Yeah.
And slowly take out like at least one section so that you can approach it from that one area and then hop on.
Yeah, but even like the problem is once you get on the Kraken and you start moving around on foot, like those things will turn on you immediately and you can get killed inside the Kraken. Yeah. It's much easier to just take every single one out so you don't have to worry about it and worry about the ground troops that are in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
that's a good point.
If you're real fast, you can fly in to the loading bays where the Banshees come out and just literally jump out and run straight down into it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like, you gotta be fast because there are turrets.
You gotta know exactly where you're going.
And those Banshees are like infinite spawns. They're constantly pumping out of there.
I hate that.
It's fun to be actually in the Kraken.
It's cool.
It's reminiscent of a Scarab fight to a degree, or the Lich fight that we've had. But this is, and it also feels like you're in a Covenant ship at the same time. It has the same aesthetic, but it's obviously smaller than that. It's an interesting area that they built. It's easy to get lost. I feel like. They kind of wander around. Which
teammates kind of yell at you though.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you get the same feel of like the Harvester from Halo 4. It's kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. I really like it.
How do you take out the generator? So Tanaka chimes in.
She's
like, how do we take this thing out? And she knows you can take out that generator in the middle, which is just a big glowy orb thingy at the very bottom. But what'd you say, David? Grenades?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think plasma grenades might be the fastest way. Krista, what do you do?
I shot it with a beam rifle a couple times.
Okay. Took her out pretty quick?
Yeah, it did.
Nice. And then you hightail. Actually, there is a skull in here.
Yes.
Which, what you want to do, at least the walkthrough that I watched today, was you actually have to get in a Banshee in order to access it. Which, I don't know if that's the case or not. I don't know if you can climb around up to it. But you get to the Kraken, get into a Banshee, and then you kind of have to fly up into a corner that you may not be able to get to just on foot. And then it's kind of in the corner up there, and that is which one I wrote it down here, is the catch skull. So
people throw more grenades.
Mm-hmm. Which we always want.
No. No, we do not.
But, so I would do that before you destroy the generator, the core of the Kraken, and then go down and do that, and then hop back on your Banshee and just skedaddle. Or, I guess you could make it back up to a Phaeton.
You have a lot of time to do it, but it feels so badass to just take their Banshee and fly right out.
Yeah, it does. It's cool.
Feels like a heist, right? It's like, yeah, let's get out of here. And it does take a little while to finally blow up, so if you don't clear enough of the enemies, or there are usually some Banshees flying around, that you have a little bit of a dogfight up there. I think I do remember on Legendary is escaping and then getting blown up after I escaped.
Yeah.
And having taken a little while to finally perfect that. But to your point, Chris, it's like your teammates really aren't much help. Like they're just kind of there. Yeah. The Kraken finally blows up and falls down into the abyss, which is a cool little thing to watch. So definitely do that. It's cool how like its three arms are kind of holding itself up in this big cavern area. So fly up, and then you get to go. Now that we've dealt with the Kraken, now we go up to this Forerunner structure, which is where we finally find the Constructor. We go up there and crack that door open, and you really just kind of go down to the end of this hallway. There's a little bit of dialogue between your teammates. Buck's like, "What do we do?" And you kind of walking down towards the end, and then because the Constructor it's a fixer, it fixes things. Tanaka chimes in and says, "Well, why don't we break something?" So at the very end, there's like this console thing that it activates, or it does something. They comment on it once you get down there, and then
shows the Guardian being connected to something, and then that's pretty much it.
Oh, that's like the hologram.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that hologram up top, but down below there's one of our little. Well, it's not little. It's these big buttons that we always have to smash. So you smash X. And then Locke will smash it, and then the little Constructor guy will come out, and he'll start to hang out with you and just immediately follow you, I guess, which is cool. So now he's your little buddy, but as soon as you do that, then Prometheans come in and swarm. And this is an okay spot. I don't mind this spot. It's like it's a narrow hallway, and you're trying to get to the. Actually, now that I think of it, you have to clear them out, don't you? Like you can't. There's no way to escape and get to the Phantom at the end. You need to clear everybody out in order to proceed.
I think so. I've always just killed them.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to. Do you? There at one point they say you have to protect the Constructor. Have you guys ever had the Constructor?
No.
Blow up?
They're never gonna the Prometheans aren't gonna fire on their own machine.
They don't target that at all.
Yeah, I figured not. But this is we've had these fights before. This is kind of the Prometheans throwing everybody at you. So you have soldiers, you have your officers, and you have your knights, and you have this little corridor to deal with them. So this can be tougher on Legendary, but I don't think I had too much trouble with it, because they also do give you like an incinerator cannon down below and plenty of weapons and ammunition to take everybody out. David, what's your approach here?
Kill the guy with the splinter turret first, and then steal it and use it to blow up everybody else.
I think that's all of our strategies.
Pretty standard, yeah. I mean, you could make it harder on yourself, but why?
There is an incineration cannon, like right by you when everyone spawns too.
Yep.
Never found that today.
There's one underneath. Is there one like next to you also?
No, there's one. You just go forward underneath the structure. Yeah. It's not too far away. It's the first weapon that you can kind of pick up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so definitely do that. But Yeah, nothing really special here, so I don't think it's really need to dwell on it. Just kill these Prometheans, and then the Arbiter will chime in and say, "I'm gonna send you a pickup." And
I sent you an Uber.
Exactly.
Uber's here.
Send you. How sweet would that be though? If Uber had phantoms.
Yeah. I'd be summoning Ubers all the time. I want a Covenant Corvette to come pick me up at my house.
Oh man, that'd be dope. Beam you up. That'd be cool. Just like in Truth and Reconciliation, just gonna hover there.
I can't wait till spaceships are allowed in Uber. Take me to Mars.
So there's some watchers in this area too, but they're not too bad, not too annoying. I just target them right away.
They didn't do anything for me. Yeah. They just kind of sat there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they didn't really even try to
They healed dudes for me.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Yeah.
But normally they're more of a pain because you shoot at them, like in Halo 4, as soon as you hit them with something, they
run away.
Skedaddle. But I feel like that wasn't the case as much in this.
Well, in Halo 4 they were able to completely revive enemies, which is really annoying.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't do that anymore, which is nice.
Yeah, so that's about it. You go getting your ride, and then we get out of here and go back to camp, which we'll cover on the next mission.
Yay!
Any trivia we missed, David?
It is possible to kill the 2 Promethean soldiers when you very first see them before they get into their Phaetons, but it's actually quite hard.
Right away. That's right.
Yeah,
they're running and getting into them.
It's hard to do though. This is the only mission in Halo 5 where Prometheans are in it, but there's no crawlers. That's it.
Oh.
Oh yeah, I guess not.
I guess there aren't. Yeah.
It is interesting. So Cortana knows where you are, but she's not here at all. If she was going to show up again, this is where she would show up. Not necessarily outside when you're fighting the Kraken, but she doesn't.
Nah, she's hanging out with John.
I think she has what she wants.
Yeah, and maybe she knows that you're gonna go and get the Guardian, so maybe she's gonna do figure something out then. But yeah, it's just interesting to think about. Why did she say she announced herself at the beginning of this, the last mission, technically Alliance. It's hey, I know where you guys are, and then she doesn't show up anymore.
Yeah, I think she's just trying to mess with people at this point. She's just an internet troll.
Very true. All right, what about our intel? Anything good?
Yeah, we got a couple things. They're 10 pieces.
That's a couple.
Yeah, why are you doing this to me? Please stop. A couple of them are pretty short, so.
I feel like the last ones were good. Those
were good.
World building.
Yeah, they were good.
Yeah. So let's get into it. All right. Message to Jakul Arak. I actually think these ones are continuing the story that we heard a couple episodes ago, where one of them was trying to convince the other to go to the Swords of St. Helios.
Okay.
I think this is the other side of the story. So, Jul Arak, my brother, we were raised to respect our ancestors. What would they think about your allegiance to humans? What would they think about you following the false arbiter who brought shame upon us all? Come home to the Covenant, brother. We will not lose. Wrong. Losers. Next one is Sangheli Personal Log 449. Sanghelios is my home, our home. I have been a member of the Covenant since before birth. What? Now nothing but lies and falsehoods surround me. There's not honor in fighting your own kind. It is time for a new world of united elites. So, a lot of this is kind of Covenant stuff. Just kind of what they think about what's going on. Ungoy Personal Log 23. Now, I would like more Ungoy Personal Logs. I'd like to read all 23 of them. Please. So, he says, I feel so lonely today. I lost Jib Jib this morning. He fell during the battle at the Elder Council Chambers. He thought he could kill the Arbiter and help the Ungoy's place in the Covenant, but one of the Spartans killed him. I will avenge him. I will kill the Spartans and keep their armor as a trophy. So, he's got some goals.
He's ambitious. God bless him.
Do you ever think? So I was thinking about this earlier. I forget what I was playing or whatever. But we have killed so much Covenant.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we pretty much genocided the grunts at this point.
You gotta think, it's as soon as we show up, like, how many have they killed? How many Spartans have they killed? Like, one? Killed Sam? That's about it.
Like, the number of Spartans that exist to the number
they've killed
of
way more
Covenant
than
that exist,
They have killed a good few Spartans.
Maybe so,
they killed,
like,
all of the Spartan 3s and stuff.
Yeah. That's a good point.
So.
But,
they killed like whole companies of Spartan 3s, but
especially
Spartan
when John shows
2s,
up. Yeah.
Not as much.
When John shows up, you would figure, and they do run. You know, a lot of times they do run, grunts specifically. But anyway, just something interesting to think about is, like, you know, if you're fighting the UNSC and then they finally drop Spartans, you're like, oh shit.
Shout out to the most badass grunt of all, Stolt.
Yeah, right.
Who beat the shit out of a Spartan. Can't remember which one.
That's right.
But he's the only grunt that made into like this elite badass ranger squad. Oh, he's so good.
I like Yap Yap the Destroyer.
Yeah, he's good.
He's got a Twitter account and it's amazing. It's really funny. Alright, so the next one is Ceremonial Sword 4 out of 6. This continues kind of some of the messages we found when we first got on Sang Helios. When night falls, even the greatest Colo herder will still smell like Colo. Colo is like piggies, basically. Like Sangheli piggies that they
So it's good, right?
eat.
It's a good thing.
Yeah. So, Colo. The next one is a message to Jewel Arak, part 2 out of 4. Jewel Arak, my brother, your tales of our hunts fill me with sadness for times gone. If you desire us to meet again, let it be as brothers united for the Covenant. Still kind of trying to convince each other there. Sangheli personal log 61. Every time I kill another Sangheli, I can feel my ancestors judging me. Perhaps I should join the Arbiter's cause and become a sword of Sanghelios. Jumandama is dead. Is it at last time for peace? So
that's interesting though, because it talks about, you know, the factions and like them having to kind of pick a side. I mean, they don't have to pick a side, but there's options now, right?
Yeah. Which a lot of these elites have grown up having zero options. You know, the Covenant tells them what to do, the Covenant tells them this, that, you know, their whole lives are kind of made for them by the Covenant. So it's interesting to see, you know, how the Sangheli are reacting to actually having to think about their loyalties and, you know, the future and stuff like that. This next one is Dear Covenant, please read. Dear whoever finds this, I am leaving. Julmandama is gone, everybody is panicking because the Covenant is falling apart, and well, I don't want to die. So I'm giving in to the swords of Sanghelios. Still, be working for the Sangheli, but at least it'll be on the winning side. Of course, that is from a grunt, so good job, grunt.
There's another, sorry, speaking about this, remember Dimki Hote, the guy I talked about? Some of his dialogue makes him sound like he's been in a lot of wars, or a lot of fighting. Like, I don't know, I probably should have looked up how long he's been around, but he's been through some stuff. Like, he was hanging out with the Didact for a while, so yeah, he's seen some shit, for sure.
Alright, the next one is from our favorite little guy, Kit Pitlimp's Adventure Log 2 out of 4. Kit Pimplip here. I know we are not allowed in this old place, but I sneaked in. I saw the old signs. Just like the ones at Sunayon. The signs of a guardian? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Yeah. So that's him. Good job. The next one is Covenant Attack Plan. Arbiter is often seen facing the exposed cliffside of the rebel camp. He will be vulnerable to long-ranged attack, but it would destroy enemy morale if we could catch him and crush him with one of the Kraken's claws. Check the feasibility of that maneuver. How about 0?
Yep.
Just bitch slap him off the cliff with the Kraken. Amazing. This next one is the Forerunner record search 5 out of 5, and it just says, "It's time. I go now to Bastion." So that is kind of ending that Forerunner's little tale that we had, who just kept talking about Bastion but never gave us any other answers. God, awful. And that's it. We're done.
All right. Very nice.
Okay, some important notes. Dim Quixote was voiced by Joseph Staten. So
yeah,
do not forget that.
He did the original grunts, I think.
He did a lot of it. He's doing grunt in all the games in some form. He has quite a large piece of history. So he's been with the Covenant, he's been with Jewel and Swords of St. Helios.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if the log is his log, Krista.
Ooh.
Anyway, there you go.
Cool. All right, well, let's do some community stuff, and we will get out of here because it's late in Ireland as we record this.
I can't wait to talk about this community question.
Yeah, it's a little out there.
I read it, and I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, I was like, Colin's just really lost it.
I'm like, did he fall off the wagon? Is he okay? I was almost going to send a concerning text message like, are you okay, buddy? Do you need any help?
David, go ahead. Take it away.
Okay. Colin Perkins, admin, on November 7th at 4:42 p.m. You've decided to rent out a Kraken to throw a massive party to celebrate the Arbiter's birthday, which is December 10th. What kind of cake will you order? Question for mission Debrief. Picture's ridiculous.
Oh, just some fancy Google search and somebody made that thing.
It's like a gray blob of a cake and someone just put an Arbiter action figure on top of it.
Yeah, it's very good.
There's like a little clip art of balloons in the corner.
I added those balloons.
Oh, okay. They look very nice.
Good job, Colin. Good job.
This is amazing.
Okay, so Matthew says Bishop Cake. It's a delicious concoction of Telcam triple chocolate sponge with some Kilo 5 coconut icing. The best part is the topper, an ornately plasma rifle with a disabled tracking device.
Oh.
Nice. Good shout out, Matt. Well, he thought about that one a bit.
He did. I like it.
Merchant says a George Key lime pie, which is to die for. This is amazing. That's really good.
Oh my god, I love that. It's to die for. Good job.
Ian was quick in then saying the Janice Key lime, which is pretty good. Brad says a ton of mini cupcakes. Can you imagine the mess that mouth would make trying to eat a regular cake? That's actually pretty funny. Crumbs and frosting everywhere, yeah. David says cholo cake, sweet meat pie. Lance says yeast extract for the engineers.
Aww.
Tres leeches cake for everyone else. I don't understand that. Tres leeches?
I think it's like a actually type of cake.
Oh, okay, cool. Lucas says it's an Oni chocolate cake that says, sorry we started your civil war, oh look, cake. Knowing Oni, it's probably poisoned. It's pretty funny. Well, to the left, Oscar says chocolate cake, no real reason other than, well, it's the best.
I agree with that. 100%. Yeah.
And Manny finally says, because of last year's incident, Arbiter used an energy sword. The lunge cut through the cake, which beheaded a cake yar. Kyolo Cup takes this year's treats. Okay.
All right. Very nice. Thank you, Facebook.
There you go.
As always. All right. Did Discord win this time? I don't know. Facebook's pretty good.
I didn't get too many on Discord. So, first one is Physical Sky. He says a giant cake with the Sangheli stripper, so we finally know what the females look like.
Okay.
Shadow of Oni says I'd like to play into the Chief Arbiter bromance, so I feel a partially dressed Chief should prop out of a triple decker chocolate cake, dual wielding energy sword, saying, "It is this easy."
I like that. Chief popping out of a cake would be great.
Yeah. Avery Johnson says the best Kig-Yar cake possible, guts and extremities all over, maybe some fish skulls, some blood sauce. Oh god. Wow. Vomit occurs across Helios. Dezuto says can't get Arby a cake. His mandibles struggle with the frosting. There would be a great grunt skull for a birthday cake, a grunt birthday cake piñata.
Yeah, if he doesn't have a tongue, we mentioned that earlier. How do they do that? Weird. Okay, sorry.
Finally, UNSC Brexit says the UNSC cake. Because if you can't beat them, join them. Does not include any human extremities. Trust me. And that's it. That's all we got. So.
All right. You're welcome.
Arbiter has a bunch of cakes to choose from.
Yes, lots of options.
We'll do one of those, like, cake raffles.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone brings a cake.
All right. Thanks for playing along, guys. I don't know. I was in a goofy mood when I posted that one, but I wanted to incorporate the Arbiter and the Kraken, and that was the way I decided to do it.
I think that sounds like a lovely idea, Colin. Yeah. I would love to go to that party.
It would be great.
Cholo meat pie.
Delicious.
Wouldn't it be great, though, if, like, the turrets on top would shoot fireworks? Come on.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Or if they shot...
Fireworks could just be all of the UNSC ships they shoot out of the sky.
There you go.
Crashing pelicans for the finale.
It would be glorious. All right, that'll do it for our debriefing of the Alliance and Enemy Line missions from Halo 5. On the next episode, we'll be covering Before the Storm and the Battle of Sunayon. Send us your thoughts at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. You can also support the show by visiting Podcast Evolved on Patreon. Until next time, evolve.
Evolved.